2002 Volkswagen Golf Jetta. Got the 1.8 turbo. Doing a thermostat. What you want to do is, thermostat's down there behind the alternator. What you want to do is you want to remove this hose, remove this bracket. Also remove your dipstick. And you might even want to remove your dipstick tube when you get that bracket off. So you want to remove the dipstick. Remove these two 10s. Pick this up, push it out of the way. And you want to get down here and get this bracket off of here, get those two bolts out of there. Okay, you got the two 10s off, and then you want to remove these two little bolts with the Allen heads in them. Those are 5mm. 5mm Allen. And then you want to move the bracket around, and then you can remove the dipstick off of it, the tube. What you want to do is you want to push it down, because when you pick it up, it comes off the side of the block down there. It's got a tube sticking in there, so it just goes in it. Okay. And then you got this tube here. What you want to do is you want to squeeze the two things together on it. Squeeze it together and it opens it up, and then you can pull this tube off, and you can put it aside. Now this whole bracket assembly, just leave it laying in there like that a little bit. You can, if you want to remove something off of it, that's fine. Get a bungee cord, hold something out of the way. Get yourself a drain pan, put it underneath the front of the engine, and then you want to remove your lower radiator hose and drain the coolant. Okay, you had the hose off, and now you can see the thermostat housing, and there's a 10mm bolt there, and then there's down below, there's a 10mm bolt right here. Okay, so you can get in there with an extension with a swivel 10, and you can loosen them up and pull that housing out of there. And make sure you take your cap off, so that'll allow it to hopefully drain the rest of the fluid out the best it can. And now we're going to take out those two 10s. Okay, when you get your bolts out, you have your magnet ready to grab your bolts. Okay. And you can reach down in there and grab the whole housing. There's the housing. There's your thermostat and the seal. And there she bees. Now, inside here, it's recessed in about 1/8 of an inch. So when you put your thermostat in there, you want to push it up in there, and then you got your seal that goes behind it and pushes it in. And then you got your housing goes on there and pushes it in. See how that's kind of got like a bevel on it? Okay, so looks pretty clean. So we're gonna get our thermostat, a new one, and get it in there, and get our new seal, and put some Seal Glide on the O-ring, and put it in there, and hopefully the Seal Glide holds the thermostat in there best as possible. And then we'll put our housing on there. We got a new aluminum housing. Okay, got some Seal Glide on my seal. So I'm gonna put my new thermostat up in there, and then I'm gonna put my seal behind it to hold it in. Remember, this end goes in towards the engine, okay? And then once we know it's stable and staying in there, then we're gonna work our housing in there. I'm gonna put a little bit of tape on it, not tape, but piece of paper on the end of our bolt, and push our socket on it. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, see that's the paper. It's a receipt from Menards. I folded it in half and pushed it on there. Stays on there. That way you can hold it up in there like that, and then guide it in there and get your bolt started. Run it tight with your fingers, and do the same thing with the lower one, and get that one started. Okay, thermostat, and the O-ring's over it, holding it in. Make sure your O-ring is nice and flat, not a figure 8 like mine is. So get it out of the package and let it sit for best you can, so it doesn't sit there and curl out on you. All right, so I'm gonna push it back in there, and then I'm gonna put my housing down in there and try to get the bolt started. I'm gonna work on the top one first. Okay, there it is. What I did was I looked down through the top here and I could see it. And then I can get the right angle of the bolt and get it started with my fingers. Okay, I couldn't get it started with the impact 10, but I did get it started with the regular chrome swivel with a longer extension. What I did was I matched up the angle of the top bolt with the bottom one, and then I could get it started. Once I got it started, run them in there with your fingers, and then get your little 1/4-inch ratchet, snug them up top and bottom, and then give it a nice little umph with it, just to torque it. It probably is like 80 inch-pounds, something like that. I don't know for sure, but it's just a little 10mm head bolt. So don't over tighten and snap it off. So once you got it tight, snugged up, you want to look at it and make sure it's flush around the whole unit. And make sure you don't have a piece of the seal sticking out. And mine looks good. Got my light down in there and I shined it around. All right, now I can put my lower radiator hose on. Next you want to do is put your dipstick tube down on the block and then push this bracket over the top and make sure this little tab right here from this bracket goes into the dipstick tube and slides down. Then you can put your two Allen bolts in there and snug them up. Once you got that done, then you can put your vapor hose over here. Put it back on that tube over here, make sure it clips in, and then put your 210s on. Okay, got your tube on, make sure you pull on a little bit, make sure it doesn't come out. Put your clamps on there and put your 10mm nuts on there. Snug those up, put your dipstick back in, and that's it. Unless you have other things over the top of it, but this one doesn't. So, okay, now you can put some coolant in it, start it up, let it warm up. Top it off as it goes. When you got heat inside the car, and make sure there's no leaks, then you're done, and that's it. And that's how you do your thermostat. If I helped you out with this video, that's awesome. If you could help me out by subscribing, I appreciate it. Thank you.